What's up, everybody? This is once again Dr. Remy LeBeau, and I'm here in the X layer to provide you with yet another treatment to get you through another day with your Iceman Statue withdrawal syndrome. Today I'm going to help you get through your withdrawals by providing you not one but two amazingly clear statues of Iceman. That's right. Today we've got the original Bowen designed Iceman statue on an ice slide, the clear variant version. On this side, we've got the X Factor Iceman statue by Bowen Designs in his clear resin form, looking amazing and ready to take on any challenge that I throw at him. Today the challenge is going to be who's the better clear statue. It's going to be a tough challenge. I don't think either will survive because I'm going to be throwing them around. I'm going to be tossing them in the air. I'm going to be boiling them in hot lava. If there's cold lava, I won't be boiling them in cold lava. There will only be hot lava today, folks, for your viewing pleasure. I'm being completely ridiculous now. The point of my little spiel there is to basically point out the fact that we are doing a showdown. We're trying to figure out which statue is better. Is it the original Iceman statue in his clear form on his ice slide, or is it the X Factor statue in his clear form on the ice slide? It's going to be a tough call, folks, and spoiler alert, in the end, I think this statue here is going to be the very, very close winner. It's going to be a photo finish, folks. We're going to need some experts to come in. In fact, I have Stan Lee coming in at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. He's going to make the final decision. I'm absolutely lying about that. Stan Lee is not coming here, and I probably will never meet Stan Lee, which is very sad. I want to meet him before he he's written out of the story. I want to meet him. Anyway, digression over. Let's get back to these amazing statues. All right, so there's going to be a variety of criteria that I'm going to sort of compare these in, and that's going to determine ultimately which one's better. I'm only determining which one's better because I have to, because this is a showdown video, and that is what I'm legally binded to do based on the contract I wrote with myself in my head last night without there being actual paper or pens involved. So the first criteria I'm going to look at is the base. I mean, I'm gonna let you decide which one is going to ultimately win out. Is going to be a hard call? No, it's not going to be a hard call whatsoever. Which base is better? It's going to be the amazing and impressive ice slide base, of course. This is like one of the big selling points for the statue. It was the reason that I originally even wanted to get it as one of the first statues I bought. Before I even bought the clear version, I was like, I love that ice slide. I think it's so cool, and I think it's so emblematic of Iceman. You know, just it's always been Iceman and his ice slides. For those that got introduced to Iceman in Spider-Man and his Super Friends back in the cartoon in like the late 70s or the early 80s, like, I mean, that was his thing. He was like riding around on ice slides. It was like super cool. No pun intended. Bowen Designs made a great choice to give him the ice slide that is being formed from the standard X base that they use for all their statues. It's just such a great design, and they pulled it off so well. It winds up making the statue very dynamic because he's not just standing there. He's crouched over. He's forming the ice slide. He's basically in attack mode, and it's freaking awesome, and it looks great. So many great choices were made in regards to not just having an ice slide, but the way that it was pulled off with the icicles coming down and the fact that it twirls around. It could have just been, a very simple ice slide, just like coming up from the ground up in a very linear way, kind of like Sideshow did. And it's not that interesting that way. It's like the Bowen Designs was like, you know what, we're gonna make this not only a unique piece, but like a super interesting piece, like a piece that's gonna like really captivate you when you look at it. And they pulled that off. They pulled that off beautifully. So the base has so much value on this statue. So beyond just like, the clear resin that just makes this such a cool statue, um, it's 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 just such a great base to kind of look at and uh, and bring the statue to life, which is fantastic. Great job, Bowen Designs. All right, so this statue was made in 2007, and it was sculpted by Mark Newman. So Mark Newman is the one that made all the choices, and he made the right ones. He made the absolute right ones. Now, some of you know that this statue here, the clear Iceman statue, just came out. Right now, it's about fall of 2013. I just got this guy a couple of weeks ago. Super happy with him. He's part of this new set of Iceman statues that Bowen Designs is putting out. They're putting out this one. They're putting out just like a modern version that has like an X belt that's also clear. They're putting out the original team version that is not going to be clear, but it's going to be kind of jaggedy and rough, so that it represents Bobby in his original form where he wasn't able to control his powers. And of course, there's also the modern version with the X belt that's not translucent. It's opaque and it's painted. So it's been a while. It's been 6 years since Iceman statues were released by Bowen Designs. Finally, they decided to add a few more into their catalog of statues in order to not only have more variety in what they produce, but also to satisfy the fans' needs for different Icemen for different display eras. This Iceman statue here is the 5th member of the X Factor set. So I mean, it was a necessary piece, but they went beyond just kind of making it another component of that set. They made it translucent. He hired the Kucherek brothers to sculpt it, which they never fail in making a great statue. There's 300 of these, so they really did a great job with it. But the point that I'm trying to make here is to establish the worth of one base versus another. I've already talked about this base. The base over here, standard X base, looks nice, has a nice blue kind of metallic-y color to it. Lovely choices. Awesome enhancement to the base is like these ice clumps that are kind of littered throughout it and have like glitter in it just to give it that sparkly snow look, the kind of snow effect that you get from like snow globes that you buy during Christmas time. They put in a hell of a lot of effort to make this simple base look interesting, and for that they get huge points. If this base wasn't so impressive as an ice slide base, this base would win out, because they took something really simple and they made it kind of like extraordinary in the way they pulled it off. So it's like it has tough competition, but it definitely holds its own to a point. To the point where it's not dynamic. At the point that this one starts to become dynamic, that's where this one loses. But it's no fault of the inherent value in this base. It's like it's a great base, fantastic. Okay, moving on to the statues. Both statues are fantastic. I mean, again, this statue sculpted by Mark Newman, of which there are 300. So there's actually 300 of each of these. So they're both as limited as the other is. So if you haven't gotten your hands on this one, which seems to still be available right now, and you're just looking to get kind of rare statues, I think this one's going to become a collector's item, because this one has become a collector's item and it's gone up in value quite a bit. It's very difficult to find. A lot of collectors have basically given up on finding it, or are occasionally willing to spend large amounts of money on the ones that actually do come up online on eBay for sale. So this one being new and still available and as limited as this one is going to be a highly sought after piece, and will eventually reach a high level of value, because demand is going to outweigh supply. And so if you haven't gotten this statue and you're kind of interested in getting it, I would say kind of move it up in the priority list if you have a list. kind of make it more of a priority, because you can get it now for like a cheap price, whereas later you probably won't be able to. I'm just trying to save you some bucks here, folks. Anyway, Mark Newman, Kucherag brothers, great sculptors. Of course, they did an amazing job on the bodies. The bodies look great. The musculature is fantastic on both of them. And there isn't much that's bad about. There isn't anything that's bad about either sculpt. Both sculpts are great. The bodies are great and the faces are great. They both look like Bobby. This one's got a little bit more attitude, so you know what? I'm going to have to give this one slightly more points for just having kind of like that smirk, which reflects Bobby's personality a little bit. Whereas this one, he just kind of looks stoic and focused, which is fine because it's a dynamic pose and he is focused. He's focused on making his ice slide and probably, engaging in battle or whatnot. So it makes sense that he would not have too much of an expression here, but have more of an expression here in that here he's just standing there. It's a museum pose. It's meant to sort of capture the embodiment of who the character is. So, just kind of having that stare with that smirk, like, I think is a really nice choice and works for this statue. But because they chose that, inherent nature of what are the right choices aside, it's a better choice. It's a better choice to give him that personality. So he actually gets a point for that. Not as many points as this one got for the ice slide, because the ice slide is freaking awesome. Another thing that's really interesting about this one here is his overall pose. Although the musculature is perfect on both of them, the bodies are sculpted perfectly. This one's just more dynamic. So there's like the body's twisting, the legs are out and they're bent. You got the arms stretched out. It's like there's a lot going on here on the body in order to be able to capture exactly the movement that's being relayed in the statue, and complement it to the base in the way that the base is created. As this like twirling ice slide that's like being elevated. The body perfectly contours to it, and you've got the ice coming out of his hand. So not only is he dynamic, not only is he posed in a dynamic way to complement the base, but you also see an exhibition of his actual power being used. So points, for this one, for all of that. So really just inherently in the choice that was made to make this a dynamic statue, that brings with it more value than this one could ever achieve. But it doesn't mean that this is a bad statue in any way. I'm just trying to figure out which one's better here and trying to point out why it is that this one is potentially better than this one. But again, as standalone pieces, they're both fantastic. This is a great Iceman statue. I love it. I think it's great. Maybe to give it a couple more points just for some special details that were thrown in. The ice ball in his hand. I think that is another thing that kind of adds a little bit more personality to the statue. So he gets another point for that. And of course, the power belt that he's wearing, which represents just what Bobby was going through during the era that he's meant to be represented in, which is the X Factor era, is captured brilliantly here. So that actually gives it some points as well, because it kind of gives it like an era signature. Whereas with this one, I mean, he could really be part of most eras of the X-Men, because Bobby was always just kind of icy and had an X belt in a lot of different time periods throughout the 90s, the 2000s, and other times as well. So this one, because it actually does have a very specific costume element that relates to a very distinct time period, it does give it that extra sort of signature that sets it apart from this one and maybe other Iceman statues, and places it distinctly within the X Factor set, thus making the X Factor set more unified with having this one in it. So points for that. Therefore, that's why I call this a photo finish. Like this one's a little better because it's dynamic, but this one has so many good qualities to it that it's just hard to say that one's better than the other. Of course, the dynamism of this one definitely makes it the winner. But there's a couple more things to mention. One thing is the color of the clear resin. Overall, like, I think the kind of like the blue, the more blue color that was used on this statue makes it the better choice than the color that was chosen for this one, which is kind of like an aqua color, like a clear sort of aquish color. It's very nice. It looks fantastic. I am in no way saying that it's a bad choice, but this is a better choice. It's a better choice for the color. So that the choice of the color elevates the value of this statue more as well. So there you have it, folks. Like, great statue, slightly just photo finish, slightly better statue here because it's dynamic. But this one's got so many great qualities. I'm so happy to have it. It looks fantastic. I can't really say that I like this one better than I like this one. Well, I can say just the tiniest bit, the squishiest bit. Like, that's how much I can say it. Like, it's really hard to go any further there because they're both fantastic statues. Alright, folks, let me just give them one last twirl here. There you go. Iceman clear statue on an ice slide. Iceman X Factor clear statue, both by Bowen Designs, both fantastic, both very limited, only 300 edition size for both. So if you're lucky enough to get them, congrats. If you're looking to just get one of them, right now I would just go for this one because it's cheaper. There's also a non-transparent version of this one, an opaque one. So if you like the design of this one, you can go for that one. But this one definitely beats that one because I think any transparent Iceman statue that's done well will beat an opaque one. That's just my opinion. All right, folks, thank you so much for checking out my video. My YouTube channel is Dr. Remy LeBeau's X-Layer. You can keep up with my updates by subscribing if you're interested. So don't forget to do that. You can also check out photos of all the videos that I have posted on the corresponding blog post. On this video, there should be a link right here to the blog post for this particular showdown, which will have some photos of them together and also have the links to their individual posts, so you can look at a lot of close-ups of each statue to just be able to gaze at their awesomeness in more detail if that's what you're looking to do. And that's going to be on my blog. My blog is xmenstatuesoffuturepast.blogspot.com. Well, that'll do it, folks. Showdown over. This is the very close statue, very close winner. This is a very close second. It's a very close situation. I'm just happy to have them both, and if you're lucky enough to get them both, I suggest you do that. I think it's a good move for any X-Men statue collector to get as many of these clear Iceman statues as possible because they're just fantastic. They look great. Bobby's a seminal character, super important to the X-Men canon. How could you not like Bobby? And you can't get him in a better form than in a clear statue. You just can't. Thank you so much, folks. I will see you all very soon. And one last thing. Don't forget to put an X in the box because ain't nobody checking me. Take care and bye-bye.